Tell me a story.
All right. Thomas, you're on the spot.
Yes.
How did you get started down the path to becoming the leadership dad?
Oh, great question. It was not a path that I saw coming. I was living in Eugene, Oregon with my wife and my son, Charles, and then my 2-year-old daughter. And Charles was born actually when I was 18. So my wife plays stepmom, and Charles had been living with us for full-time for about 9 months. And prior to that, it was 50-50. But at the start of that 9 months, his mom moved away, like 2.5 hours away. And he's in the middle of his 8th grade year. I had coached his football team. I had been involved with his school. And I remember it was a night in January. And I know some people are really good about dates. I don't remember the exact date, but I know it was like mid-January. And I get a call from Charles after not being able to get a hold of him. And he said, "Dad, I'm tired of being controlled. I'm done with you. I'm moving in with mom. Peace out."
Man,
that was basically it. Yeah. So I'm left there. My son's just walked out of my life. And it feels like all this work that I put in, over the past 14 years is just washing away. He's just about to start high school. And there's no one else to change, no one else to turn to but me. Charles, I was not going to have a conversation with him that was going to change his mind. I was not going to have a conversation with one of his counselors or teachers at school that was going to change Charles. The only person to change was me. And that was a big hit to my ego, because I was a middle school PE teacher. I had done a lot to, I'd read the Jocko Willink books and thought I was doing a lot of things great as a leader. And it wasn't that I wasn't doing great things. It's just that I wasn't where I needed to be yet. And so I had to make the decision of either staying put and just accepting this or making a change. And that's where I started to go down the path of what does it look like to rewrite my leadership as a dad so that I can connect with my teenage son in a way that he's going to lean into as opposed to be repelled from and pull away. And so that was the winter of 2022. And that's when this whole journey got started.
I gotcha. Random Kid said that would definitely be a huge wake-up call for me. Yeah, I mean, I'd hope no father wants to hear that, and I hope all of us would take that as a wake-up call. What were you doing that your son perceived that you were controlling him?
Great question. It was, I wasn't a strong enough listener. As a dad, and as a man, I'd done a lot of things that the world respected and my peers respected, and I knew what worked. Like we all as dads, we've been through life and we're excited and we know what works. And so we see our kids struggle. We're like, dang it, like do this and it will solve your problem. You're in this problem. I know the path. This is the route out of the maze. They don't want to hear that. They want to go and run into the end of the maze and get crushed and get destroyed in their heart and figure it out on their own. And that's it can be really hard for us as dads because how far do we let our kids fall before we say no? Like you need to go this way. And so for Charles, he likes to fall a long way before he gets any correction. And so I was not, if I was to coach me back then, the number one thing that I would work on was listening skills and really understanding, not pushing Charles, not pressuring Charles, but like where, and I'm saying Charles, my son's Charles. I know we have Charles on the show.
I understand. Yeah.
Where are you at? What is it that you're like, what? Okay. You don't want to do this assignment. Tell me more about that. Why don't you like the class? Oh, okay. It's whatever it is. hearing more was one of the first things that I needed to do to connect with him.
I was trying to look up your podcast so I could subscribe because I think you've got a lot of things to say. Joe, it sounded like you had a thought there.
Well, since you mentioned his podcast, I believe it's called Dads Who Lead Podcast, correct?
Yes, the Dads Who Lead Podcast.
So, but yeah, no, I was really liking what Random Kid had put here about kids lack the wisdom to recognize the wisdom in others. And that's definitely something that you develop as you age. Well, hopefully develop as you age, being able to recognize when others have experienced things that you have not, and being able to lean on their advice. But yeah, kids just want to find their own path.
I just subscribed to it. I made so many mistakes in my life, and you talk about that falling and learning the hard way. I think the phrase used was get his heart broken or hit hard. And
yeah,
man, I want to avoid that with my kids. And sometimes I think I haven't been hard enough on them because I tried different tactics than my parents tried. I tried to explain to them wisdom and insight and giving them choices and trying to give them some agency over their life. And I think to a degree, it has definitely worked out. I've got 2 boys, 2 girls. 2 are 19 and 18. The other 2 are 11 and 13 now. And like the 13-year-old got in trouble tonight at his wrestling match. And it's like, how do you become that better listener, Thomas? Because it's like, I'm trying to walk that line of, why did you do this? And you could actually be facing some charges. And I've done a lot in my life, so I'm not raging and freaking out. But at the same time, I mean, just to clarify, it was after a wrestling match. Some kid was giving him crap. He grabbed the kid's shirt. Mom got upset. It could be nothing, but it could be something. But I've told all my kids, if you get punched in the face, I'll get you back going. And did you beat the crap out of them? You know, but if they're just running their mouth, dude, that's the world we live in. How do you become that listener and not just want to go, oh my God, sit down for an hour and let me yell at you?
So how old is your son?
13.
He's 13. Okay. So kid's talking smack at you. He grabbed his shirt.
Apparently. Yeah. I wasn't there, but that's what his mom says is what he says. Yeah.
Well, given this exact circumstance, typically, like if I was coaching you, I'd ask you more questions, but I would say this to kind of shortcut it. If it was me, I would ask, what's your son's name?
Ryland.
I say, what motivated you to grab his shirt? And then he'd go into the story like, oh, this. And then eventually get back to, okay, so this was the action you took. This is how you felt. Identify, okay, what were the emotions that caused that feeling? Okay, so this made you mad. Does it still make it right for you to grab the kid and shove him to the ground, or grab his shirt, or whatever what the action was? And then he can kind of like, okay, yeah, like it's okay to have an emotion. And I think that's something that we're taught a lot as men, that we shouldn't have emotion, or we shouldn't. These are things that should just be suppressed. You shouldn't feel angry. You shouldn't feel horny. You shouldn't feel aggressive. You shouldn't feel mad. You shouldn't feel happy. Like what are we supposed to? Right. How are we supposed to live life that way?
Yeah.
So identifying that emotion is fine. It's fine to be afraid. What's not fine is to be afraid and stop playing. So I would direct it as, number one, what motivated you to take the action? What was the emotion that you felt that caused you that? How would you do something different if you were in that situation again? So all question based. So now he's thinking about himself as the main character, as opposed to a role character that's, here's dad just telling me what I should have done differently. He wasn't even there.